Hello and welcome, everybody, to another episode of r/malicious compliance. My name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's top stories. If you end up liking what you hear, be sure to leave a like on the video, as well as subscribe with notifications turned on. That way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest we have to offer here on the channel. Without further ado, the Adorable Minion presents... I asked for 3 days off, they asked for a doctor's note, so I have way more than 3 days off. I lurk a lot and realized I had my own malicious compliance a few weeks ago. My job is very mentally taxing. I also have my own mental health issues, so I try my best to balance. But I just want to help, so I get caught up taking more responsibilities than I'm actually able to do. So a couple of weeks ago, I realized my mental health is in a steep decline. I'm ignoring the signs to push through, but anyone with mental health issues knows you can only ignore the signs for so long. I try to get ahead of the mental crash and talk to my supervisor to tell him I need 3 days off. And as I had the weekend off for the days I requested, I figured that might be enough to get a good rest and reset. I did tell my supervisor why I needed these days, burnout, mental health, and they said they understood and would get back to me. They contact me back. I say they because right now I technically have 2 supervisors running my division, and say they can probably give me Wednesday, Thursday, but that they couldn't give me Friday. I ask if we can do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday instead, and I could work the Friday, have my long weekend, and that should still be fine. They say they'll get back to me, and I get a text soon after to ask me to help cover other shifts. I obviously can't, so I decline. They get back to me the next day. We can get your shifts covered for Wednesday and Thursday, but not Tuesday, and you have to make up the hours. That was the straw. I just broke. I was just asking for a break because I was working too much, and it was way too hard for me to say no. I even called them. They had me on speaker in tears and explained even further why I needed the days. I've been going through trauma therapy and my mental health has been declining. I had told them I'd spoken to my doctor and that my doctor said I was showing signs of burnout and recommended some days off, which is true as I had talked to him the day before. All they heard was doctor and said, "We need a doctor's note." Okay, fine. Good thing I have another appointment. I had to work that day defeated because they couldn't find anyone to cover my shifts. I talked to my doctor and he says that he can tell them I'm in distress and he puts me on 2 weeks of leave immediately. They did not look pleased when I handed in my doctor's note. That was 2 weeks ago. I went back to the doctor and he extended my leave for at least another month. Can you know the straw that broke the camel's back and my mental health just went down the drain? Also, when I gave them my doctor's note with the 4-week leave on it, one of them wouldn't even look at me. The other just said, "Oh, doctor's note, thanks." TLDR. So that's the story of how I asked for 3 days off to try and reset and ended up with at least 6 weeks, with no confirmed return date. Citizen Alpha presents Civilian Dependent Wife Demands Salute because of her husband's rank. There are a handful of rules to saluting in the American military. The when, why, and how is drilled into you from boot camp until the day you leave. Even the order in which the salutes are rendered have meaning. When it comes to vehicles, there are helpful insignia and stickers to indicate if it's an officer, such as a colored sticker located on the front windshield. My base was small enough where it was everyone's job at some point to do sentry duty at the front gate, which had housing for military families. Sentry duty was pretty basic. You'd stop every vehicle, check IDs, and then wave them through. If they were an officer, you'd see it coming with those colored stickers, and after verifying the ID of the officer, you'd salute and send them on their way. One day, while on duty, I approached a vehicle with an officer's sticker, and there was only the officer's wife driving in the vehicle. I returned her ID, wished her a nice day, and waved her through. Pausing with a stern look, she asks,
"Where's my salute, Petty Officer Citizen Alpha?"
Now Karen here was a wife to a higher-ranking officer, and has clearly fallen under the impression that people are saluting her somewhere along the way. Some of the junior enlisted might have even been saluting her, as they're pretty easy to bully and more prone to F-ups. I politely replied, "Ma'am, salutes are only rendered to commissioned officers." Angrily pointing her chubby little fingers at the front of her windshield towards her husband's officer sticker, she says,
"I have a sticker, and you need to salute the sticker."
Curtly, I continued, "I'm afraid that sticker is not an officer either." Frustrated, she pulled through and left my post. My cover guy, the guy keeping me safe with a big gun, and I watched her drive down the street and pull right into the admin building with the top brass and huffed into the building as quickly as her soft beatish body would take her. We exchange a look between us with weary smiles, knowing exactly where this is probably going. Later that day, we get a new official base-wide mandate. From here forward, all enlisted will salute vehicle stickers of officers regardless of who's in that vehicle. Roger that. This is where malicious compliance comes in. It's worth noting that when you salute an officer as enlisted, you do it first, and you hold that salute until you're saluted in return and they lower theirs. Only then do you lower your salute. It signals that you're saluting them and they're replying. Additionally, when saluting a group of officers, you generally direct your salute and greeting to the highest-ranked individual. Now, as far as I know, this stupid sticker salute order has no accommodation for how a 2004 Toyota Camry fits into the officer's pecking order. Additionally, if the car is unoccupied, it's not like that sticker's removed. After the order came through, we all began saluting stickers. Personally, I'd direct my salute to the sticker. I would also prioritize sticker salutes over officers. Let me tell you, walking through parking lots was a blast as I saluted empty cars on my way to wherever. More and more people saw me doing it, and more people started doing it. Not long after, the order was publicly rescinded, which hilariously had the balancing effect of never rendering a salute to anyone but a clearly known officer, cementing Karen never gets her unearned salutes. Fickle Midnight 5907 presents... Lady demands I stop what I'm doing and open my register. Okay, no problem. I, a 19-year-old male, work as a cashier in a gas station in Miami Gardens, Florida. Naturally, the people that come into the store tend to be on the crazier side. The store had a line of maybe 7 people. Now at this point, I had the register closed sign up, and I was stocking the vaporizers and accessories on the shelf behind the counter. My coworker's handling the customers in line, and I turn when I hear the door opening. Another lady walks in without a mask on. I politely ask, "Excuse me, miss, do you have a mask you could put on?" She scoffed at me, rolled her eyes as she dug in her purse for a minute or two. Finally, she pulls out a ratty little mask with only one functional strap and holds it to her face while she's waiting in line. Well, apparently she couldn't do that for very long. She comes to the front of the line ranting and raving about how the line's too long and we shouldn't be keeping a valued regular customer waiting. I've been working here about 4 months and I've never seen her. I'm fairly confident I know all of the regulars, and I tell her that there are other things that my manager left me to do before the end of the closing shift and that I have to get them done. She didn't seem to like that at all.
I demand that you open that register right now.
Okay, you got it, lady. I moved the sign and then I turned back to her. Do me a favor and stand a little bit to your right. Surprisingly, she complied, albeit with her arms crossed and what I could only assume was an angry gaze firing through her mask. Cue the malicious compliance. "Next customer!" I yell out into the store. It dawns on her what I'm doing, but the next customer shoots up in front of the counter before she can even fully process it. I go about this transaction as normal, despite the fact that the lady is yelling at me at the top of her lungs, no longer holding the mask to her face, mind you. And I finish up with the other customer and turn to her. She tries to yell over me, so I raise my voice a bit and try and be as stern as possible. I tell her, "Just 'cause my register's open now doesn't entitle you to skip all the other people in this line who also have lives, jobs, and other responsibility. Get to the back of the line and respect others, or I have no choice but to have you removed from the store." We don't have security, but we're 2 blocks away from a cop station, and one of the cool-ass officers who comes into the store gave me their personal number to use just in case we have any issues. The lady harumphs loudly and walks dejectedly to the spot in line she had before she left. In the amount of time it took her for the rest of the story to occur, more people had gotten in line. I said, "Back of the line," told her, and then I pointed. She drops her shoulders and walked to the back like a toddler. People, man. Soft Pockets presents The End to a Free Decade of Netflix. Between 8 and 10 years ago, I received an email welcoming me to Netflix. That was a bit concerning since I hadn't signed up, so I contacted the company. They told me someone must have accidentally used my email when they created an account. Our last names were the same and our first initial. I said, "Oh, no problem. You must have additional contact info for them besides my email. Could you possibly remove my email from the account and let them know so they can fix it?" Well, immediately, that was a big problem for Netflix. And well, no, they couldn't remove the email because it was the only one they had for the account. And how did they know it was mine? I said, "Give me your email address and start talking. I'll email you the words as they come out of your mouth." That wasn't good enough for proof somehow. More likely, I was in the other person's Gmail account asking to not have Netflix. What they finally ended up doing was changing the account password so that when the customer went to log back in, they wouldn't be able to, and would need to do a password reset by calling Netflix, and they would need them to confirm the email address. I kept getting Netflix emails, so that didn't work. I called again, same again, and it didn't work. I changed the password several times myself because I knew I could use the forgot password function and get an email to resend it, and still, it didn't work. I don't know how, but they kept getting the new password without updating an email address, and I didn't really care at this point. For the last 8 to 10 years, I've had Netflix on everything I own. I've signed in on hotel televisions, used it on my phone, my Xboxes, my kid uses it. I only ever signed in under Family and told him to do the same. The entire history in Family is us. The other logins, Fred, Softy, and Lila, accumulated history. I'd occasionally look because curious, and never did a single new show appear in the Family watch history that wasn't because of me. Well, I woke up this morning to an email from Netflix telling me this address was no longer associated with the account, and to contact them if I had any questions. Thanks, Softy. It's been an amazing run, and I'm not sure why you gave me free Netflix for the last decade, but I think you're amazing. TLDR, I asked Netflix to remove my email address from an account that wasn't mine, and that I didn't pay for. They wouldn't remove the email associated with the account, and so it stayed that way for 10 years, and I got Netflix for free. And there you have it, folks. The end of the epics. If you like these videos, be sure to leave a like, as well as subscribe, that way you could stay up to date with everything we have here on the channel. As always, my name's Ryan, and I'm the official host here on Reddit Voice. It's been an absolute honor, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.